Well, explain it briefly.
Huh?
Explain it
How
briefly.
far back can you remember?
Oh, I remember most when I left school.
Yeah.
You went to school down the village, didn't you?
I first went down the village, and then when I got old enough, Freddie Webb took me to Barham. We lived down the bottom of the village then, but I left school when I was 10 and a half, because my father was invalid. My mother getting a living by dressmaking and that, but she used to get a little parish relief, and that was 4 loaves a week. Used to carry it, used to bring it from Canterbury, that's all. Well, I left when I was 10 and a half. You could leave if you passed the 4th standard. Well, the examination was in the morning, and I never did go see whether I passed. As we come out of school, I met old Mr. Quested with his cart, in his pony cart, and I put my hand up. I said, "Please, sir, could you give me a job?" Left school, mate? Yes. Well, have you got a spud? No. Well, he said, "My brother might you a spud for 8pence. You better go and see him." That was his brother, blacksmith. So I did, and I went weeding near the Black Robin, in that great big field.
Has he got the 8pence?
Oh,
Right for that.
and you just get 8pence a day.
8pence a day.
8pence a day.
5, 8, 6, 8, 7, 6 days
I
a week.
worked there for a little while, and then my Uncle Alf was cowman at South Barrow, and he come see me. He said the one that boy'd help him in the cow shed. So I went, and when I was 12, I was driving the milk cart from South Barrow to the Barrow station. I used to have 17 gallons in the morning, 13 in the afternoon, that to get them out the cart myself. So I used to have to reach up like that and then slide it down my belly. And then run it right round the platform, over the level crossing, the wooden crossing, and up the other side, and stop there till the train come in and out the garden, lifted in.
How old were you then?
12.
12. I don't know. How many gallons did those charts hold?
17 gallons of a morning they used to be, and 13 in the afternoon. And all up inside the churn, there's little brass figures, see?
More than 100 weight.
Right up the, and if it wasn't quite up to the 17 mark, boss used to bring it up with water. And stir it up. And that used to go to Ramsgate, I remember. I used to have to go in the porter's room, and it was labelled when it left the dairy, see, may use Ramsgate. I forget the address. But I used to have to go to the porter's room and get out of a big till a label Ramsgate and stick on the can and run it right round, you see. That was of a morning, and then the same of afternoon, 5 o'clock, 5:30 train used to go on.
Who was that? Requested?
That was for Collier.
Oh, Collier.
Yeah. And I stopped there quite a while, a couple of years I suppose. And then one Friday I went and I said to Steve Collier, because he used to come to the door, and you used to know your turn, but it used to be the wagoner, see, then the second man, and then the wagoner's mate, then the second boy, and then Uncle Alf, and I had to go behind him. He used to come to the door, and he'd say, "What name?" "George Hawkins." "What time?" "All the week." And he'd go and bring your money out. One Friday I said, "Will you please ask the governor if he sees, well, white clear to give me a little more money. I said 4 shillings a week ain't much. That's all I was getting. And my mother can't keep me on 4 shillings a week. So I asked him, he come back and he governor, think about it. The next week I went in. What name? George Hawkins. What time? All the week. You remember to ask the governor about my rise. So he went in, he called me in. Sit down. So I sit down. I think 4 bob's about ticket, don't you? No, sir, or else I wouldn't ask you for more. My mother can't afford to keep me on 4 shillings a week. And I still have to get another job if you can't pay me. He said, if you'll leave me, I'll give your mother's relief stopped. He was what they call
Board of Guardians.
Board of Guardian.
Board of Guardians.
Cool.
Yeah. I'll get your mother's relief stopped. Well, I made Ace home and dressed, changed, and went straight out to Elmstead. I went to see old Mr. Quested. And I said, please sir, could you give me a job? So I thought you drove the collier's milk cart. So I do. But I asked for more money and he wouldn't give me any more. How much does he pay you? 4 shillings a week. 4 shillings a week. Yes, I'll give you a job. I'll be in the sheepfold, but I'll give you a job, 8 shillings a week.
Cool.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I stopped with him 4.5 years. And he kept putting more and more on me. He used to be a head shepherd, was a man named Bingham. I had my own sheepfold. And then when the sheep went on the park, I had to look after all the blooming sheep. And I had 1,375 sheep to walk round every day, Sundays and all. I used to come all Broom Park, right away down here to Mayday. We used to come round the top, then go round the bottom, and come out the river at Drover Castle there. And cross over the road and do that bit where Arthur's work stands now.
Yeah.
Used to be sheep there. Cross over the road to the downs at Barham Crossroads. Be just another lot there. And from there I had to go to Alden Orchard. There was the old Rams was up there in the orchard. And from there I used to come back across Elam Valley Railway and do nearly the Arch Delight every day.
Sundays
And weekdays. And I used to start and getting them ready. I used to count them every blooming sheep once a week. And I used to start getting them ready Fridays. And I'd drive them into the big, what they call Oak Cove Park, drive them in there. And then I used to have a pocket full of stones, and as the unders went by, I laid a stone on the top of the gatepost, so that I should remember. And when I left the old man, I counted them blimmin' sheep every night for a week, every day for a week, and I was 3 sheep short. And he come along, and I was out in the middle park, and there's a great big estuary, and I was sitting in a fork on it, and I had not been sick. And he come through the gate, and he see me sitting there. He go, what's Matt? Ain't well? No, I've been sick, and I feel rotten. Oh, what's the matter with you? I said, I lost 3 sheep, and I can't think where they are. Oh, where you lost them? I said, all out in this park. Oh. You know that lamb what was killed, he said, with the ox pecking his eyes out? Did you cross that out? Looked at my book. No. I had a pocketbook, see? What about that one on the cricket ground? He said that died with no vents. That's a funny thing, you know, that kept getting bigger and bigger and bigger. And couldn't think. Well, I said to him, I called his attention to it. He said, I don't know what's the matter with it, mate. And then he eventually died, and it got no vent at all. And that died. Well, I was one short. Well, and I never did find it.
No.
And one morning, I was leaving, see. I was gonna, all my uncles was gardeners. It was always my ambition to be a gardener. So I said to him one day, I'm going up the hill. My next door neighbour said they want another gardener up there, and I always want to go gardening. So I went. Of course, I gave him a week's notice the next day. And I know one day during the week he said, jump up my cart, mate. I drive around the park this morning. And he did right round Broom Park. He took me all right round my round. And when we got back for dinner time, he stopped the old pony and he sat there. He said, sit still, mate. They all used to call me mate. Sit still. You've always been had aching to be a gardener, ain't you? I said, yeah. All my uncles are gardeners. And I've been round the garden and I like it. He said, you stop long on me, mate. And I'll see you're all right. You stop with me. And he said, I'll see you're all right. I never knew what he meant. And I said, sorry, I promise you go now. So I went. I went up the hill. And I was up there 3.5 years. And I met my cousin was staying with us. And my cousin Fanny. And I coming around by the Eagles, we went out for a walk on a Sunday. See, coming around by the Eagles, I met the old Miss Trellin, this one's father. Of course, I touched my cap, said good afternoon. The next day he come to me. Is there any signs of you getting married, Hawkins? No, sir. Well, I see you out with a young woman yesterday. I said, that was my cousin. Well, ain't no sign of you getting married? No, sir. My mother's a widow and I got 4 sisters and I have to help support them. Oh. A few weeks after that, he said to me, he says, you say your mother's a widow? Yes, sir. Would you like to bring her up in the gardener's cottage, he said, and take the head gardener's shop? I said, I'm afraid I don't know enough about it, sir. Take head gardener's job yet. And not only that, my mother's a widow, and she's a dressmaker, and all her work comes from Barham. And if I take her away from Barham, I shall be taking away from her living. Well, about 6 months after that, I was looking in the Asher paper, and it said there, wanted, second gardener, apply W.H. Meyer, agent, Denton. Of course I was second gardener. It didn't half upset me. I was then the gardener. I used to keep 3 pigs. I was cleaning my pigs out. And old Neddy Knight come by, went up. Oh, George, what's up with you? Queer? Well, I don't feel very well. Well, what's the matter with you? So, I was now worried. So I told him, you see. And it was time they was doing Denton Quarter for the ladies to come back. And there was 35 painters and decorators up there. And they decorated every room in the house. and I employed a local bricklayer to do the roof, and that was Neddy Knight, lived next door but one to me and his mate. He said, they want a gardener down, second gardener down there where I'm working, Denton, Denton Court. I said, oh, they're being good me trying. So he said, well, no harm in trying. It's too late, not if you make haste. So I went indoors and had the shaving chains, and I run right down Cross Broom Park, and I got down there just as it's getting dark. I come in the kitchen, and Aidan was sitting there in the window chair, with his knees nearly touching the fire. I said, Mr. Knight, the bricklayer, told me you was wanting a second gardener. Yeah, I do. Where are you working? Denton. I was second gardener at Denton. Been second gardener 2 years. Oh. What you leaving for? I said, well, I want to get a little more money if I could. I don't know what you pay. I was getting 18 shillings. He said, £1. I said, oh. And he said, oh, where shall I apply for your reference? I said, to Mr. Allen, Denton. All right. Well, for a week, postman used to get the barn about 6, come Canterbury in a mail car, and I used to bike round barn, post office if he got a letter for me. But he hadn't. After about a week there was one coming to see me, so I went to see him, and I started the job. And it was third week in May 1905, and it was a Chelsea show week, and Aidan was going to the Chelsea show. So I was on my own for 2 days. There was an old farmer there, and the boy was Freddie Hawkins. He left a note, do what you think's necessary. So I done what there was, like the green eggs and that, and I went on the border from the potting shed right up to the, it was all carnations both sides, and tied all them up. There wasn't no sticks to them. I went and cut the sticks, tied them all up. He was satisfied when he come home. And you know, there was these 35 men up there. They used to lodge down there, down the pub, the post office, and everybody would take them in down the village. And there was an old Mrs. Seath, used to cater for them. You remember old Mrs. Seath,
yes,
Yeah.
yes.
And she cooked, they sent to the butcher barn for salt beef. They wanted salt beef, see, for dinner. She cooked it in a copper in the old wash house up there. Well, they had it in the middle of the afternoon. Every one of them was ill. They fetched a doctor from Shepherd's Well, I forget his name, Dr. Anderson from Elam. They was laying about all over the place. The parson was up there. There was 2 little apprentice boys, and one of them was ill, and I can see the old parson now, the Reverend Evans. He got his arms right round this boy and holding him tight, and he was reaching. And afterwards we heard he was ill for 2 years.
He was.
Well, they couldn't think what. They had the police here. They couldn't think what had happened. They thought it was the old lady cooking this salt beef in the washing copper.
Yeah.
But they found out it wasn't. And in the end, they sent for the butcher. He come down near horseback. His name was Page, Tom Page. And they found out that for such a lot of men, he hadn't got a joint of beef big enough. He sent in the Canterbury for this joint of beef, And then he sent into the shop next door, because he hadn't got enough saltpeter to rub in it, for more saltpeter, or whatever it was. And they give him the wrong stuff.
Mm.
They did.
And they proved it was the grocer in Brown that had to pay the bill. Then named Perry, no, Monday, before Perry took it over.
Mm. Yeah.
Huh.
Wonder what it was.
Yeah,
You never heard what it was.
the salt beef was, well, it was fresh joint. They sent in Canterbury and got this joint of beef there. And then they put it in the brine, but of course it wasn't in there long enough. So they rubbed this, what they thought was saltpeter, and it wasn't saltpeter at all. I couldn't tell you what it was. Might have been soda, or might have been, I don't know. Anyway, put the work out for about a week.
That was before the Miss Willats came to
Yeah,
live here,
I know.
I suppose.
There was 35, there was a firm named Day and Sons Decorators. And then there was, and I was down there because the gardener was out summer. And I was out there was a man from Marples, and he was laying the carpet down the stairs, and he couldn't do it alone. And in the dinner hour he come up to see if I could lend him a hand for an hour, and I went down there, and he was taken ill. Just the same. 36 of them.
Yeah.
Was it the same carpet?
Same carpet's down there.
Yeah.
What do they call it? That's red carpet.
Yeah, the red one.
I know I had to take it all up once when the ladies was away. Change the tread. And you never see anything like it when I changed the tread.
It was faded.
Whether it was a moth, I don't know. But where the brass rails went, there was all any amount of bare places.
No.
Well, of course, there's all these here straight lines of bare carpet. Didn't go right across sometimes, and I went halfway across. I didn't know what to do. I'm not scared. I went down the shop. There's an old man named Thackeray down there then, and I said, "Have you got such thing as some red ink?" Yeah, several bottles of red ink. I said, so I had a couple of bottles of red ink, and I went all over with a paintbrush up easier, and then I give it a good arm brushing, you see, this way and that way, kind of move the pile. You couldn't hardly see it. It was in the worst part was where you come down the straight and then turn the corner. And then where it come round the corner, see, with changing the thing, you change the tread, and you come right across the middle. Go, I'm not scared of it. Huh? Well, the ladies never noticed it. The red ink covered it.
How many did they have in the house when they first came?
When we first came,
When they first came,
the
yeah.
ladies,
Mm.
I may not tell you the old butler's name in a minute.
Do you make them recordings or something?
No,
Oh, I bet he is.
no, he ain't.
Of course he is.
Well, what was the butler's name when we ladies
How many
were?
were there at the court? I was asking.
Huh?
How many
butler.
were there at the court when you first came?
When you
Mr.
came.
Benny.
Mr. Penny.
Mhm.
Yeah.
He was
Nice
a
old
dear
man.
old chap. He
He's
used to
over
be
6
with the
foot.
Dukes of Wellington. fine
He's over
looking
6
old
foot.
man. He would
He
have
used
been
to wear
white-haired,
elastic
but he
side
did.
shoes, didn't he?
Yeah,
And the polishing he used to give them every morning. We used to have to go in there
yeah,
pumping.
he was a very nice
And it
old
used to
chap.
take us hour and a
He
half
would
every
have
morning.
had thick white hair, but
twice
he
on a
dyed
Saturday.
it. He used to dye it, didn't he, to make himself look
Yeah.
young. But
And then he had 2 footmen,
2 footmen,
An old boy.
and
and Hawkins lived in.
no,
Was he
had all
chauffeur
those
or
men.
Hawkins was chauffeur.
they didn't
Yeah,
have any
He was single
coach,
then.
horses?
a single, yeah.
Didn't have any horses.
Well, the
Yeah,
first year they
horses.
did.
They did.
You see, they come
No,
down
they
in
didn't.
July.
They didn't have any horses.
Yes, they did. The first year.
Ah, that was when Mrs. Crofton was
Yeah,
in
Mrs.
charge.
Crofton was there.
The Miss Willats never came until the year after.
Yes, they did.
No, they didn't.
The
Not
Miss-
to Olivia.
No, they was here then.
Oh, they come down and
The Colonel
stayed at
Crofton,
Ivy
Mrs.
Cottage.
Crofton, 2 ladies, and a house full of company.
Mrs. Crofton owned Ivy Cottage,
And there was,
she lived there to look after the workmen and give instructions and see the furniture in. Because it was all antique furniture, but every room was in period, you know, the right furniture for that period room.
There was-
And but I came with the Miss Willats. The day I came, I was supposed to meet them on Victoria Station. But at the last minute, the car, it was a Sidley Wolsey, come from Norfolk, and they knew nothing at all about engaging service, and then the mother engaged me. And they told the firm that made it to send a chauffeur with it, get a chauffeur for him and send him, and that was Hawkins. He come from Norfolk, come from the capital of Norfolk, what was it?
Norwich.
Norwich, that's it. That's where he came from. Well, when I went to 5 Charles Street to see them, they were out, but Mrs. Crofton interviewed me. She asked me where I came from, and I told her where I'd been living in Cromwell Road. And I said, but my own home is at Chesham in Buckinghamshire. So she said, oh dear, how well I do know it. I used to live when as a girl with my grandmother at Chequers. And she said, I went to boarding school in Chesham. And she knew my Uncle Ben's place, she knew the Blue Ball, she knew everything. And she was so busy talking all about her youth and one thing and another that she forgot to, ask me any questions. And at last I reminded her, that I'd come to see I was sent with the Regina Bureau. I know that boy's taking it all down. I'm certain he is. On what you've been saying, you know what he is, and I've heard you talking
going.
to
No.
him. But he isn't. Is that the truth?
Yeah.
Oh my God, I shouldn't put it past you. Anyway, yes he is. We went then into all particulars and that, and she said, well, actually my daughters didn't want to pay that amount of money, but she said, you've had quite a lot of experience, and at any rate, she said, I should certainly, get them for you to go, because I'd like you to go to them. She said, it's quite difficult to get a nice type of a girl. And of course knowing your relations and everything, so I said, well, you better take up my reference. I said, if Mrs. Maxwell Todd, she said she'd give me a personal reference if anybody liked to ring her on the phone. And also the housekeeper, cook housekeeper. So I said, I'm only leaving because I've not been well. I hadn't. And the doctor had told me to get out of the basement kitchen, get in the country if possible. And this was supposed to be a town and country place, 6 months, 7 Charles Street. And the rest of the time Denton Courtsey in the summertime. And I thought, well, that'd just suit me to get back to London in October. And so at any rate, she practically engaged me and fixed me money, and I said I wanted afternoon and evening once a week. She said, well, I can't think where you go because there's no train nearer than Barron. I said, oh, well, if I only want to sit in my bedroom and sew, I want a time off. So that was agreed upon, and then her two daughters came in to tea, and she said that I was Nellie Stone who was coming to them at Denton Court. She got it all. And of course they looked a bit surprised, but she told them, you know, where I lived, and she knew my uncle then. And in the Broadway, Chesham, knew the shop anyway, and he was a builder, and she knew the Blue Bull, and she knew Squire Lanes, who lived the other end of the park, and who we used to serve. And so they said, well, we should be going down on the 5th of March, wasn't it?
Yeah.
And we'll be on Victoria Street Station, and the train leaves at 1:30. And would you like to be there and meet us there, you see? You can come down with us. So, of course, I said, yes, that'd suit me all right. And I said, provided me reference is all right, you better let me know. So I give them my grand's address, so they let me know. And I had a notice say that they were, you know, very pleased with my reference, and reminded me again to be on Victoria Station at 1:30 on the 5th of March. And that was that. When I got there, well before time, quite by 1 o'clock, there was no signs on, and I waited, and the train came in, and there was no signs on. There was a crowd of other people up and down, and I had a good look at them, and I knew I wouldn't forget them, and I couldn't see them. So I just made up my mind to go back. I wondered what had happened, and some stoutish party, middle-aged party, come rushing up to me, and she said, are you going to Shepherd's Well? And I said, well, I was, but I don't know you. And so she said, no, I know you don't, but she said, I'm Miss Willats' cook. I'm going there as a cook. She said, and I said, oh, well, I'm not going with anybody except for Miss Willats. So I'm silly. And so she said, well, look, come with me, just come on the platform with me, and you'll see the other staff. Well, I went along, the butler was there, and John, Mrs. Crofton's footman, who was coming here, down with them, and the lady's maid. But Miss Ray was Scotch, you know, and you could see she was a real old genuine sort. And I looked hard at her, and I said, it's quite all right, I suppose. And she said, oh, quite. It's all right, I'll look after you. She said, that'll be all right, you're all right. So, of course, we all got in a carriage and come down, and it poured. I should never forget how it poured. And there was an old cab waiting today. But when I went to Denton Court, I thought, what a place. It had been let to Sir Charles Hunter, the big shipbuilder he was then, millionaire. And he'd had all staff, 20 servants up there, and every room was full. And they had a chef and vegetable maid and all that, and the place was filthy. They'd never done any work.
Shovel the grease off.
Shovel the grease off.
Scullery floor.
Oh, I said, because I said to the cook, Mrs. Salter it was, I said, well, you can stop here if you like, but I'm not staying here. I should go back tomorrow. At any rate, she talked me round and said, I'll help you do it, and I'll have to get somebody in. Well, they did. They got Mrs. Fagg. And we did actually shovel the grease off that floor, didn't we? And I never worked so hard in all my life, so
Was that Checker? Oh, yes, yes.
Yeah, well, her grandmother, there was, see, what was it? She was a Murray, it was in the Murray side, wasn't it? That's it, that lived there. Or was it the, you know, the Colonel's side, the Goslings? Because Mrs. Goslin, and Miss Willats' grandmother, was lady in wait to the then Queen. I don't know, any rate, they sold it to Sir John Lee. and Sir John Lee left it to the country when he died, as a resident for the Prime Ministers.
Yeah.
But, oh yes, it was hers, and she
Oh,
loved
yeah.
it as a girl, and she told me the photographs of her family were still on the staircase.
And she liked it so much that years after she went and she hired the steward's house. Well, I was second gardener for 4 years.
Yeah.
Yes, I must tell Richard this bit. The old chap, he used to take him a coffee of the night, because he used to be all dressed up in tails, you know, like butlers were, and they had coffee, and he used to take the cups, and a bottle of liqueur went with it, and the footman come behind with the hot milk and the coffee pot, and the first footman, the second footman went through and opened the doors, took 3 on. Well, when we got to the coffee, the cook used to go upstairs and change for supper in the servants' hall. I never went down. And, well, when they finished the coffee, he used to come back to the slab it was then, there's a door there now, and put the coffee all on the slab, and used to have a spare cup there, and he used to pour me out the cup, of course only a coffee cup, put me in some cream and a dash of liqueur and hand it to me every night. Well, he used to stand there and have a little bit of a conflab, and he always used to, rare one for telling you jokes and asking you riddles and one thing and another, but he was always a gentleman. There was never anything out of place with him. Any rate, he said to me one night, I said, well, you've told me a good many riddles, I'm going to ask you one now. I thought of it myself. So he said, well, what is it then? So I said, well, what's the difference between you and the Queen? The Queen, he said, oh, the King, probably. I just said it was after Victoria. It must have been King Edward. Yes, it was King Edward when I was up there. Edward the 7th. And he said, well, jolly lot of difference. So I said, yeah, I knew you'd say that, but that isn't the answer. So he couldn't think, so off he went. So the next night he said, well, before I give you the coffee, he said, you'll have to tell me that riddle. I've been thinking and thinking about it all the time, and I can't think of anything else, only what I told you. So I said, all right then, I'll tell you, it's 1911 pence. So he said, whatever do you mean? So I said, well, he's a sovereign and you're a penny. He thought that was marvellous. Really, I thought of it all. He said, cool, I blew the brain. I mean, everybody that come, he had to tell them. All the staying maids and chauffeurs that come down the hall, all had to tell them. So I thought it was good.
You were under gardener for 4 years, you reckon then?
Yeah. And then that was 904, 5, 6, 7, 8, 908 when they gave me the head gardener's job. And 905, 6, 7, 8, 9, 909. And Mrs. Avon died, the gardener's wife died, and the ladies went away for some weeks, and they come back in, and it was my turn on a Sunday, and I met Avon. He come back on the Saturday, and he come up the garden. I met him along the top path, and he was howling. I said, Mr. Oden, what's up, man? Well then, I'm all right, he said, but when I got home, he said, they put a notice in my letterbox that I give me a month's notice.
Why do you reckon they did that?
Well, I found out afterwards. In 3 months after Mrs. Avon died, he married the head housemaid. And 4 months after that, the first child was born.
Of course, they wouldn't do anything like that. I don't know. No.
And
Can you close the door, Mother?
anyway,
You were head gardener before you got married then?
no, I was married. I'd been married 18 months.
Oh, had you?
Yeah,
When did you get married then?
I suppose 1905 when I come here. Oh, I couldn't tell you. Nancy was 18 months old when we come down here,
Yeah.
so I couldn't tell you
No.
the year we got married anyway. The
You came down here not long before the war then, was it?
1905, 6, 7, 8, 9. 911 we must have come down here. The war broke out 14, didn't it?
No, she wasn't born before 13.
Wasn't she?
No.
Well, then it was 911 when we
Got married.
got married.
Yeah, I believe it was.
Yeah. Oh, she come down. She was a year. She was. That's right.
Were you called up under the Derby scheme?
Yeah.
You were.
But I can't quite think of the. Anyway, Aidan was shucking about here about a fortnight,
Yeah.
and then he went away for a couple of nights, and he come back, and he said I got the job, and he went near Denton. So I said to him, oh, I got my blacking down here, and I cleaned my shoes and had a shave in the dinner hour. And when he left work that night, I said to him, I was standing there waiting with a dinner basket in my hand. I said, now you're suited with your new job, Mr. Aaron, ain't there's any harm me trying for you on? And he said, no, son at all, George, boy. That's what he used to call me when he was good-tempered.
Yeah.
And oh, good at all, George, boy. So-and-so's coming up here from Broome. I said, oh. Anyway, I went down there. See the butler, Mr. Penny. And I said, please, sir, would you ask the ladies if I could see them a bit long? He put his hand out, he said, yes, George, good luck to you. So I went through. They both standing in the front hall. So I said, now Aidan is suited with another situation. Miss, I wondered if I could apply for his job, whether you'd give me the trial. We fully intended of giving you the first offer, she said, but Aidan's not suited yet. I said, oh yes he is, he's been away 2 days and he's come back. And he told me this morning that he was suited. Well, where did he get his reference from? I said, I couldn't tell you, miss, but I have an idea. He got it from G.N.A. Clark's, or the Traveller. God knew he had.
Yeah.
Well, yes, but there's one stipulation. We intended giving you the first offer, but there's one stipulation. That ever we leave Denton Court, that you are responsible and you and Nellie come in and look after the house. I said, well, but tell Nellie we'd like to see her tomorrow morning. Of course she come down. But I said, there's one stipulation I should like to make, miss. And what is that? that my wife should never be asked to come in this house to work when their staff was here. And she never was asked to go in. It wouldn't answer.
No.
Not them days.
No.
She never did go in there. No. But we had to go up there as many times, caretaking.
Mm.
Well, we went up there after
Yes.
we first
Yes.
answered
Yes.
in there.
Yes. I think that was the last time.
Yeah, that was the last time we went up there. But we've had some jolly good families up here now. And I had some good offers. There was a Mrs. Cross asked me, begged me to go to her. And there was another lady who I liked very much, should I forget her name now. And then there's the Lloyd, the editor of the Lloyd's newspaper. He's got to sit and mourn every morning. And he used to sit at a round table in the dining room till 10 o'clock in the morning. He had his breakfast at a round table writing. 10 o'clock sharp. They used to be down there with the car and the chauffeur had to drive him to sit and bone and bring him back at night. And when he left, he gave me £5. He said, if ever you want a gardener's job, let me know. Thank you very much, sir.
Tea.
I know.
He was here before. He took over the house.
Yeah, only 6 months.
That was before I came out here.
Yeah,
Yeah.
only 6 months. But there was Mr. Lunn, he kept on wanting me to go. He shined his hooter out here one day. I went out there. He said, I'm in trouble, Hawkins. I said, oh, I'm sorry to hear that, sir. And I helped anyway. He said, I want a gardener just like yourself, a man I can trust. He said, you know, I go away 6 months in a year, a man I can trust, and now my place is as good when I come back, would be as good when I come back as well as when I left, if not better.
Mm. Where
I
was
said,
his
I
place?
don't know of any. Beg pardon?
Where was his place?
Chislehurst. I said, I can't think of anybody at the minute, sir, but I'll think about it. That's right, you think about it. He said, I'm going to Sandwich Golf, meet Dr. Bristow, and I'll call when I come back tonight. And he called and come in. I said, no, sir, I don't know of anybody. I'll try and think of somebody.
You knew who you wanted.
Yeah. He said there's a laundry attached to it, and also a drying room. That's because he shouldn't have any clothes hanging about outdoors. Still, he's a blooming good chap. When Mum was so ill, you know, he called out here one day and he said, hey, Miss Hawkins, I said, she's still very bad, sir. Can I go and see her? Yes, sir. He went upstairs and see her. He said, if your doctor says you want hospital treatment, get in touch with me at once. And old Dr. Wilson, a week or two afterwards, he come and he walked up and down the road like this. Kept on like that up and down the room. He said, I'm afraid she's going to slip through our fingers. I said, I told him what Dr. Wilson, Mr. Lunn said. He said, can you get in touch with him? I said, I can go down and send a telegram now. So I did. And she was in the hospital the next day.
Mm. Well, that was...
And you know, he paid £20 a week for her all the while she was in there. So,
Yes.
he was a proper chap.
Mm.